Raymond and Alyssa. This is the story of a good guy gone bad and a bad girl gone worse. Raymond's last relationship ended badly, so badly that he spent the better part of the next 2 years single. It would be an understatement to say that he was pretty broken up about the way his ex treated him. Well, there's no saying that says time heals all wounds, and Raymond's heart was no exception. Raymond had learned a lesson or two about relationships for sure, and he fancied himself a man who was a little bit older and a whole lot wiser. At least that's what his mindset was on the night he met Alyssa. I won't go into all the details about how pretty she was, but suffices to say she really caught Raymond's eye. And though she was beautiful, I think it was her personality that broke through his cautious defenses. She was tender and caring and intelligent and seemingly infatuated with Raymond. While little by little they got to know each other, and before you know it they were a full-fledged couple. All of Raymond's friends were happy for him. Raymond certainly deserved to have a good partner in his life. The relationship was amazing and getting better all the time. That's what Raymond told all his friends, but of course we couldn't see what went on behind closed doors. It would turn out that what was hiding behind door number 1 would be a huge surprise to everyone. One day I received a call from Raymond stating that he had left the house that he shared with Alyssa and he wasn't sure he'd be going back again. But why, I asked.
Because we've been fighting a lot and I don't want to end up in jail.
Raymond said, "Damn," I said. "Is it really that bad?"
Yeah, man, she threw dishes at me and called me every name in the book.
"Well, maybe she'll cool down after a while. What started the fight?"
Nothing, man. She just randomly flips out and calls me stupid. Makes fun of my job. Tells me I'm not making enough money to support me. Let alone a woman and her kid.
"Wow," I said, trying to imagine that sweet little Alyssa behaving this way. "How long has this been going on?" I probed.
For months, man. I've tried everything to reason with her, but when she gets like this, there's no way you can calm her down.
Now I realize I was only hearing one side of this story, so I probed a little deeper. "So you're telling me there's nothing you could think of that you might have done to trigger her? You know, when it could be sensitive, maybe you said a little thing and she took it in a big way."
No, man. I've asked her what the problem is, and all she could say is that I'm a piece of shit.
Damn. I haven't tried to talk to her where she's calmed down.
Yeah, and she tells me that she's got some sort of diagnosis or something, and she's supposed to be taking her meds. But she doesn't like taking pills.
Geez, what kind of diagnosis?
I don't remember. But I told her she's got to take her meds or it'll be the end of us. And boy, why did I say that? Because in an eye blink, she was back raging on me once again. I was too embarrassed to tell anybody, and now it's escalated to the point that I'm afraid I might put my hands on her.
Well, that's pretty drastic. I'm glad you're leaving then.
Yeah, I agree.
She must have said the right thing to you to have you consider hitting her.
It wasn't what she said. It was when she hit me in the face with a coffee mug and then scratched me.
What?
Yeah, I have 4 lines across my tree. Looking like Wolverine got to hold me.
Damn, that was all I could say. What a friend I was. I have no answers for him.
But that's not the worst of it, man.
Holy shit, there's more.
Yeah. After she scratched my face and I yelled, she spit right into my open mouth, and that's when I punched her.
You punched her?
Yeah, right in the face. I knocked her down too.
Oh my god, is she okay?
Yeah, she jumped up like she wanted more, and that's when I just got my shit and left. I can't handle this, man.
I don't blame you one bit, buddy. If you need anything, just let me know what I can do. Act 2. Alyssa and Raymond's relationship would not end that night. Apparently he went back home and then he left again. And then he went back home and he left again. And this was the pattern over the next few months. It's hard to say if things really ever got any better. But I guess some things must have, because he stayed with her. He kept going back and forth. And then the night happened that I'll never forget. I got a phone call from the city jail from Raymond. He had been arrested. "Hey man, what the hell happened?" I asked. "Dude, it was the same old shit."
She started in on me telling me how I'd never amount to anything. She said that I was a bum and that my mom must be at least half mental for giving birth to a loser like me.
"Shit," I said.
Yeah, she grabbed my phone and threw it in the sink full of water, and when I went to grab it, she clocked me in the back of my head with something hard. What the fuck? I must have blacked out because when I woke up, I was on the kitchen floor and it felt like lightning struck me in the head. And I got up. I know there was blood everywhere, so I grabbed the back of my head to feel and it was wet. And I looked at my hand and I saw blood. I was bleeding pretty bad, but not enough blood to account for all this mess. There was blood on the ceiling, walls, windows everywhere, so I looked around. I was trying to figure out what was going on. And suddenly I heard pounding on the front door, and so I got up to go to the door. I was grouse, groggy, and dizzy, and trying not to slip in these pools of blood everywhere. About time I got the door open, I'm staring down the barrel of police guns all aimed at me.
Wow, I said.
So what happened then? One of the cops took me out to his car and started questioning me while the other cops ran into the house.
So did they arrest her? And why are they holding you?
So what happened then? One of the cops took me out to his car and started questioning me while the other cops ran into the house.
So did they arrest her? And why are they holding you?
They didn't arrest her.
Why not?
She was the offender because they found her dead. Silence now.
I was in shock myself, dead.
Yeah, they kept asking me why I did it, and I told them I didn't even know what they were talking about. So eventually I finally found out that she had been stabbed 11 times and her throat had been cut.
Jesus, dude, I said. Man, he said.
I've been in here for 3 days answering the same questions over and over again. They said if I confess, I won't spend the rest of my life in jail. I'd probably just get 40 years.
Oh my God, it was what I was thinking, but again, I remained silent.
Dude, I don't even know what happened. I got hit in the head and I woke up and now I'm in a nightmare. And nobody believes in my story.
Act 3. Raymond's court date was 6 months out. He was denied bail, so he sat in jail night and day in what I can only imagine to be a living hell. Well, his family did retain a lawyer who hired a good private eye. And what they came up with was enough evidence to support a story even more incredible than the one that Raymond was already telling. Raymond never went to trial. His case was thrown out as the evidence proved his innocence. A week after he was released from jail, he stopped by my house. He told me that he wanted to say goodbye to me in person before he hit the road. Apparently, he'd packed up all his things and was moving away. He said something about a family member who owned a farm in an isolated part of Idaho. So this is it, I said. When you're coming back to visit, never.
He said, dude, I'm out of here and I'm not looking back again ever.
I guess he was pretty traumatized by everything that happened to him and I couldn't blame him. All he wanted to do was find a good girl and have a good life. But instead he found anything but. I guess he was pretty traumatized by everything that happened to him and I couldn't blame him. All he wanted to do was find a good girl and have a good life. But instead, he found anything but. So Ray, what really happened that night? I asked.
He looked me in the eyes with a stare that was disconnected. It was like he was looking at me and looking through me at the same time. He said, after splitting my head open, that crazy bitch stabbed herself 11 times. 11 deep stab wounds. Any one of them could have killed her. Then as she lied dying, she used her superhuman cycle streak to slit her own throat, nearly severing her head, then threw the knife over by me and dialed 911 as she bled out. Dude, the cops had me cold. Nobody even for a moment considered that she might have inflicted these wounds on herself. It didn't even seem possible. I could hear his breathing become ragged as my eyes stayed locked in on his. The private investigator made a discovery that basically saved my life. He found her medical records, which showed that she had a history of suicide attempts. He also found police reports filed by her exes stating that she had assaulted each one of them. One of them she stabbed so hard he was in the hospital for a week. Then he found out about an ex of hers who was in prison for assault with a deadly weapon for hitting her in the face with a hammer. The poor guy had been in jail for 2 years. He always maintained his innocence. And his version of the story was that after starting another fight with him, she grabbed a hammer, and 911 then hit herself in the face so hard it knocked out 3 of her teeth and rendered her unconscious. It was open and shut for him. Nobody, including his own family, believed him. Even though the investigator found out all this information, the cops still wouldn't let me go until he revealed his final bit of evidence. The final thing that the investigator found that finally got me released was her journal. She had been documenting everything, every psychotic incident that had happened for years. I don't know if she's planning to write a book or what, but it was all there. Everything she had done to her previous boyfriend, including the poor guy in prison, up to her relationship with me.
My silence was deafening, and this time it wasn't because I had no words, it was because I had too many words, too many questions. I didn't know where to begin, so I just kept listening. His eyes remained locked on mine, and I began to feel overwhelmingly sad for him. I felt inadequate as a friend right now because I knew that there was nothing I could do to comfort him. How? I asked. How do I tell all this? Explain what happened the night between you and her, the night you got arrested.
Dude, she had it all written down beforehand. This was a plan of hers to set me up. Her diary literally detailed her plans from throwing my phone into the sink to whack me in the head, stabbing herself, and then calling the cops. She ended that chapter of the journal the same way she ended all the chapters in her journal. It says, if I can't have him, then nobody will. Raymond turned away from me and faced my door. With his back to me, he spoke again, his words trembling. It's crazy, man. That if it wasn't for her being a lunatic, I would have never been in this situation. But if it wasn't for her pinching, for journaling, I'd be in prison right now. Maybe I owe her some sort of thanks. Maybe in some way this was all my fault. She just wanted love like everybody else, but I just didn't know how to give her what she... Raymond turned away from me and faced my door. With his back to me, he spoke again, his words trembling. It's crazy, man. That if it wasn't for her being a lunatic, I would have never been in this situation. But if it wasn't for her pinching, for journaling, I'd be in prison right now. Maybe I owe her some sort of thanks. Maybe in some way this was all my fault. She just wanted love like everybody else, but I just didn't know how to give her what she...
Ray, hold up, I interrupted.
Nah, man, I know what you're gonna say. I've had a lot of time to think this over. But you know what? It doesn't really matter at the end of the day. I just know I'm done. Fuck it all. I'm going far away, and I'm leaving all that love shit to you lucky guys.
I could hear him struggling to hold it together. I could feel the intensity of his emotions filling the room, and now my eyes were wet.
I love you, bro.
Those were the last words that I ever heard Raymond say. Raymond got into a car wreck on his way to Idaho. The report says he hit a tree doing over 90 miles per hour.